So in this video, we're going to put all the theoretical content that we've learned in previous videos into a practical situation. So what you need for this is maybe a cushion on the floor, a teddy on the floor, or maybe you've got a helper at home that could be your casualty. Because we're going to imagine that we've got somebody unconscious on the floor. And we're going to put the primary survey together with the secondary survey together with the recovery position. So let's just recap that first. The primary survey is when we check the air for danger. We look, listen, and we smell for things that could be dangerous for us. We're then checking for response. If there's no response, we shout for help. And we ask the helper to go and call the emergency medical services for us, or we activate the speaker function on our phone. And in this example, we're assuming there's no catastrophic bleed. We then open the person's airway, and then we look, listen, and feel for breathing for 10 seconds. So that's our primary survey. Then the secondary survey is when we do the head-to-toe check. And this is when we're going to be looking for clues as to why this person is unconscious and breathing. So we're looking for signs of poor circulation. We're looking for signs of disabilities such as broken bones or dislocations. And we're going to examine and expose other parts of the body. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do then is there's a casualty on the floor. We've walked into the room. We're checking the air for danger. We're looking, we're listening, we're smelling for things that are dangerous, such as fire, other people being there, things that have fallen down, things that are touching them. We make it safe if needed. We talk to the casualty to see if they're awake. If they don't respond to my voice, I'm going to push on their shoulders gently to see if I can get a response, or maybe make a loud noise. They're not responding to me. Now I'm going to shout for a helper. And we ask the helper to go and call the emergency medical services for us, or we activate the speaker function on our phone. In this example I'm showing you, I'm in a home situation, but in a workplace, please put your appropriate PPE on. And then going to open the airway by doing a chin lift and a head tilt. So one hand on the forehead, two fingers on the chin, and pushing the forehead back and lifting the chin up. I'm getting nice and low to this casualty. And I'm looking and I'm listening and I'm feeling for normal breathing. So I'm feeling with my cheek, I'm listening with my ear, and I'm looking at their belly or their torso rising and falling. And I'm checking for 10 seconds. Now, if someone was breathing normally, an adult will breathe between 2 to 3 times in 10 seconds, whereas an infant is going to be breathing between 5 and 7 times if breathing normally in 10 seconds. Now, it's really important to check for normal breathing, because if someone has something called agonal gasps, which someone goes, this can be the last breath that someone breathes. And actually, they might need CPR performed to them. So please check for normal breathing for 10 seconds. Great news, the person is breathing normally. So then what we're going to do is do our secondary survey. We go from the head all the way down to the toes, and we're looking for anything such as bleeding or broken bones, or anything that can explain why this person is injured. So we're checking the head for any lumps and bumps, looking for fluid coming out of their ears. If they've got fluid coming out of their ears, it could indicate spinal issues. Looking to see if they've got those medical ID necklaces on. We then look down one arm at a time. I'd roll up the sleeves, have a look for lacerations and also bracelets. I'll do the same on the other arm. I will then check the torso to make sure the sternum is okay, make sure that the belly, there's no hard bits on the belly. If there was, it could indicate internal bleeding. I gently push on the pelvis to make sure it's still intact. Then I use my back of my hands to see if there's anything in the pockets. The reason I use the back of my hands is because if they did have something sharp in the pocket, I'm more likely to grab it if I went palm down, and therefore I might hurt myself. And then I check one leg out at a time. So that's the primary survey, then the secondary survey. Then, now I've found no injuries with this casualty, I'm going to place them into the recovery position. Now I do this by putting both my arms on the other side of the patient, so I lean over. The hand closest to the casualty's head, I'm going to link fingers with them, and I'm going to gently bring it across their body and slap their cheek closest to me. But I'm still holding my hand in place. I won't let go, because if I did let go, the hand will just flop back down again. So I hold it in place. With my other arm, I lift the outside of their leg, lift the knee up and push their shin and their foot towards their bottom. And then all I simply need to do is use one finger or very gently push their knee towards me and they will roll over on their side. I need to make sure the knee is at 90 degrees in order to make sure they stay on their side, and then I open their airway. And the reason they're on their side is because it's allowing the airway to remain clear. If they're sick or they've got any vomit or blood in their mouth, it's just going to drain away. I'm going to keep checking and monitoring their breathing while they're in this position. And if it hasn't been called already, I would now call the ambulance. Now, we put them in the recovery position because it allows them to maintain an open airway. And that's really important, to have an open airway. However, if we find they've got a broken leg or a broken arm, or we forget how to do the recovery position, then what are we going to do? Well, we kind of do the same thing. We maintain an open airway. So that means they stay on their back and we just keep their airway open. The downside of this, however, is that my hands are now attached to that casualty. So that's great if I can be with that casualty all the time and there's lots of other helpers around and the other helpers can go and open the front door for me and bring the ambulance crew to me. But if I'm by myself with this casualty in the home, at some point I need to open the front door for the ambulance crew. So ideally I need them in the recovery position, because if I let go of the casualty's airway, it will close again. And that's when the airway could be blocked and they might stop breathing. So what I want you to do is go and pause me, and I want you to practice that either with a cushion on the floor or with somebody else, the primary survey, the secondary survey and the recovery position, or go and practice putting yourself in that position. And try doing it on both sides, don't just do it on one side. Go on, pause me and go and practice. I'll be here when you come back.